What is going on, everybody? My name is AJ Capasso. I'm here with one of my best friends, Dylan. This is your show. Tell them all about it.
Well, guys, today we got a special guest here with us. I believe was her name Lori.
Lorilei Potvin. She's a
Lorilei.
medium. She's a medium. I believe she's from Canada, and I could be wrong. She might yell at me for that, but I think
Right.
I'm right. But
She might.
anyway, yeah, she'll beat me up definitely. But if I'm wrong. But no, I'm just joking. She's a great lady. We've had her on Talking with the Source. She's an amazing medium. She's a Reiki healer. She does tons of different stuff. She was on Paranormal Survivor, which we will be watching the episode tonight with her so that she can dispute anything that's been fabricated and tell her side of the story of what really happened in her life. So let's bring her forward real quick. Hold on.
Hey guys,
Lori, how are you?
What
I'm
up?
good. How about I'll tell people who I am. How's that? It'll be easy. So
There
I
we
am
go.
Lorilei Potvin. I was late, so poor Dylan. We just met each other for the first few minutes when I came on. I am a Canadian. I'm a Canadian spiritual medium, a crystal Reiki energy healer. I'm an Akashic Records practitioner. I'm a spiritual teacher and mentor, budding animal communicator, studied near-death experiences and had one myself studied them for over 40 years. And I'm a registered nurse and a podcaster of 2 shows on UFO Paranormal Radio Network, otherwise known as UPRN.
So basically, what she's saying, everyone, is she has more time to do more things.
Yeah, right.
You
More
know?
time than we got.
Yeah, more time than we got. Shit.
You
But
think so?
no, not at all. Yeah, I
I
feel you on
only
that.
sleep about 2 or 3 hours a night. Let's put it that way.
Me too. Me
Yeah.
too. My insomnia doesn't help me, but then I'm up working anyway. So it's like, you know what? Screw it. So I totally get
Absolutely.
it.
I
But
have to thank you for having me on. And I said this to AJ that nobody has ever done this. And I love the fact when you suggested, why don't we play the episode? Hey, Julie, how's it going? I'm going to give Julie a shout out. You're looking for an amazing animal communicator and shamanic practitioner. Julie is your lady. She's helped me out personally in so many places. Check her out. She's a great teacher. I took my animal communication course with her as well. So it's Julie Jean Bassett is her name.
well,
That's what it was.
Julie Jean, not to interrupt you real quick, I want to let her know that if she's interested on coming on and would like to share her story or anything like that, I'm sure Dylan would love to have her on because we're looking for all types of guests right now to come on this brand new show of his. So it would be great to have her support him and him support her, and I hope we can make it happen.
Absolutely. It'd be
will
an honor.
I will help you. Sorry, Dylan. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, I'm just saying it'd be an honor.
I have lots of people I can connect you with, just like AJ, when you've been doing it for a while like this, right, AJ?
Yeah,
I was going to say,
absolutely.
sorry, and I have a bit of a delay, so I got to remember that just to stop. I don't know if it's being way up in Canada or what, but I'm so grateful that you guys had this idea to play our Paranormal Survivor episode
Yeah.
because you're right. There was everything we said in the interviews was true, but they definitely, I'm not saying this ungratefully. I'm glad they shared our story.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be nice to go through it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
So
agree. 100%.
before we waste any more time, Dylan, you have any questions for Laura Lee before we start?
Real quick question. What got you into being what was the first thing that got you to being a medium? Like, I understand it's a natural thing that comes to you, but what was the first thing where you realized?
Okay, so I've had the paranormal around me my whole life. My first paranormal experience, I'm 58, I'll be 59 in August. I was 4 years old that I can remember. When I was 8, it was one summer we moved into a brand new house built from the ground up. The ground was broken for that particular house. And from the time the snow melted until the time it fell again, 3 a.m., I woke up unable to breathe, completely blue every single night. They thought I had asthma. I don't think it was asthma, knowing what I know as a nurse. Anyways, whole reason why I got into this. I've had strange and unusual things happen to me working as a nurse as well. I would know things, but I wouldn't know why I knew them. My grandmother on my dad's side apparently knew down to the second when her third son died in a motor vehicle accident. So it runs on my
That
side.
it's so freaky because I have that happen now, and I'll speak about that later. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about when you say that, and that's such a freaky feeling to know.
Well,
You
I
know?
wasn't alive. My dad, good French Canadian Roman Catholic family, was one of 17 children. Apparently, my grandmother was pregnant every year for 25 years. So he was in the middle, sort of lower end. So he was about 12 when it happened. And sure enough, when she stood up at the dinner table and said his name, according to what my father used to tell me, and say he was dead. And my grandfather apparently told her to not be so silly, sit down, you're being ridiculous. And I guess the police showed up an hour and a half later. And indeed, it was right when she had said it, it happened.
That's
So,
absolutely crazy.
Yeah, that
anyways,
is
what
wild.
happened? I know it's crazy. So what happened was before we started having the extreme paranormal experiences we had in our previous home, I was going to get my first tattoo years ago. And I always say, what do tattoos and angel cards have to do with each other?
Yeah.
Nothing. But the lady that I became a friend got talking and she said, you have two very special children. And I said, well, all kids are special. And she said, no. And so I know it's a long answer, but there's a reason why I'm explaining it all. So
Yeah.
she said, can I do something with them? And I said, well, as long as you're not going to hurt them. And she took these crystals, she's banging them all around them. And she said, what do you do? Long story short, she went in the back and came back with this box and handed it to me. And I said, what do I do with it? She said, you'll know. And I said, well, when
You'll know.
she goes, you'll know. It was angel cards. So I started taking angel
Wow.
card. I got my certified angel card reading course. And anyways, after the experiences through my home, I rediscovered, if you will. I think all children have these gifts, really young children. And that's how it all started. It's a long story, but it's been with me my whole life, basically.
Hey, that's really wild though. I know a
Yeah.
couple people like that because I got like a guy on my team goes by the name of Johnny, and he's an empath, and he tells me some crazy things before they happen. Just things that he feels, and it's just having those abilities is something definitely wild.
I think we all have them.
I
You know,
think we do
Bob,
too. You just got to find them.
my
Or
friend Steve, sorry, not to interrupt you. My friend Steve, who you know, Lorilei, who's the other co-host on Talking with the Source, who is barely on because of due to financial things in his house that he's fixing up with his wife. He hasn't been on in years, but um, he makes his appearance once in a while, and he will call me up out of the blue and be like, "Dude, Spirit told me you're having a rough week. What's going on?" And I'll be like, "How in the hell did you even know that? Like, you have no like, don't give me the spirit crap. Like, how did you know? You know what I mean?" And then
Steve
like he's
and
like,
Chloe are good friends of mine, so I know them well, and I agree with you.
"Yep, yep,
Mhm.
yep." But such intuitive friends and such great friends. They've been my friends since 2014, and we've grown together through this journey. And it's sad to see that he's stepping away for a little bit.
Hey, hopefully he'll be back though.
But no, he will. I mean, hopefully he will. He's taking a break. I mean, his connection will never leave him. He's just so strong in that. So I'm happy for him. But listen, let's get this show started. I'm going to bring it up right now. And then, Laura, do you want to stop it in the middle of the show or wait till it completely finishes?
Um, well, you go with what you feel because there's quite a bit that makes it look like from the episode. And before we start, there were certain things that we did have to change because I did have a local psychic medium come at the time. This is right at the beginning of all this. I always said I wasn't looking for the paranormal, it found us. And
Yeah.
she was asked to be part of the episode and she politely declined, and we respected that. So you're going to see there's a male psychic in here. So we had to say he instead of she, but they made it look like it happened like in like a week or two, and that's not how it happened. So you go wherever you want to stop, you go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Let me take care of this real quick and turn it on, and let's take a watch. Can you guys hear this when it comes up? Hold on. Oh, hello.
If that link doesn't work, I got a couple other ones. I don't like watching myself when I podcast afterwards.
Nobody does.
No.
I just want to see if the volume. Can you hear anything?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, you could hear them talking?
The music.
Del and I.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, but you
We
can hear the
started dating in
documentary?
2008.
Yeah, I can't hear it at all.
Del moved
really
into the
weird.
house shortly
Hold on
after
one
that.
second. Let me see what I could
We
do
tried
here.
to have a normal, happy life. And yeah, things were great. Life was pretty good.
Moved in, the house was normal. There was nothing strange about it at all
So
at
here, let
that
me
time.
take this out. Hold on.
Hi, Jackie.
Hey, Robbie.
So you guys can hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm the only one who can't hear it for some reason. So I'm going to allow you guys to listen to it, and then I'm just going to let you stick your
Paranormal
finger up and
Survivor,
tell me when you want me to
Lorilei's
stop.
Demons, interview with Lorilei.
I wasn't happy with that name either.
I got
by the
it.
way. That's not our house. By the
Del
way.
and I started dating in 2008. Del moved into the house shortly after that. We tried to have a normal, happy life. And yeah, things were great. Life was pretty good.
Moved in, the house was normal. There was nothing strange about it at all at that time.
Looks like it's pausing. Hi, Ken. Good to see you, Jackie. It's been forever. Hi, Michelle. They said they can hear. Michelle's over in Australia, Tuesday morning. That's okay, Jackie. Thank you. But I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today if I hadn't been through what we were through, both of us. So
I think that's how it always is you go through something like that, and then it's just like you get right into it.
mm-hmm. I know. AJ, did you know it's paused or?
What was that?
It's paused?
Oh, no, I didn't have no idea. I'm like, I thought I just couldn't hear the sound. I'm sorry, nobody's saying nothing to me, and I'm like, I just think I can't hear the sound. So there we go. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
You guys took like 5 minutes to tell me that, though.
We were talking anyways, right, Dylan?
But it
Yeah.
didn't take long
I
for
know,
that
it's too
feeling
funny.
of bliss to quickly disappear.
I didn't usually remember my dreams, but this particular dream, I remember like I had it last night. In vivid detail. I've never had a dream like this that it seemed so real. I found myself outside. There's a tree in my front yard. There was a man in the front tree. He was very evil. It was his skin. It was this white, sickly, glowing skin. And as I looked into his eyes, he spoke to me. He called me by name and said, "Hello, Lorilei.
Who are you?
I can give you anything you want. Wealth, fame, you name it. All you have to do is agree to follow me."
No, I don't want anything.
I remember telling him, "Get out of here now." And he said, oh, no, 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 I'm not going away that quickly. He then proceeded to tell me he was a demon. Whenever you see a crow or a raven, you're going to know it's me.
Can we pause that just for 1 sec?
And I screamed at him.
AJ?
There was a flash. I woke up shaking, crying, and in a complete sweat.
Oh, did we pause it? Now we can't hear AJ. We can't hear you. Can you hear him, Dylan?
I can't hear him at all.
Sorry, that was me. I had me on mute by accident.
Okay,
Sorry.
I wanted to stop that for a sec because I think this is an important part of the story. First of all, I forgot about this girl. I never met her. My station manager, Michelle DeRoche, is actually in this episode, by the way. I did not know her. You don't get to meet anybody. So this woman is very over the top. She took her role very seriously, but that's not quite what happened. They cut so much out of that, okay, because this thing told me it was a demon. And I did tell it to leave twice. You've heard this story before, AJ, because I've talked about it on Talking with the Source.
Yeah, but please tell it
gave
again.
me its name, and it spelt it for me, and it gave me its animal form. So there was a lot more to this story with it, and it's sort of a big piece throughout because we had 4 main entities in our home. And I understand that they had to edit things a certain way for a TV episode and to, for time. But that was the big piece when things started.
Yeah.
It's really important. I want to make this clear. The way they show through this girl, I guess she took artistic license or whatever, but that was not anything she does in there is not how it happened. I'm going to say that I really was upset about, and I'm very grateful they showed her practically beating on my partner, the actor that plays him. That didn't happen. I've never hit anybody in my life. So I want to make that clear when you see her, because she's really over the top. Anyways, that's why I wanted to, if it was okay to stop it there. So.
No, absolutely, please.
Yeah, they always change things up, it seems like, which is understandable.
I get it, but it upset me because, like I say, I understand they couldn't arrange for me to see her or talk to her, but yeah, that's not me. She doesn't even look like me.
Right.
Go ahead,
All right.
AJ. I just
Let me
wanted
play
to.
this. All right.
I've never forgotten this dream.
She said something talked to her in her dream and mentioned there'd be signs that would show up.
I was absolutely terrified. I couldn't understand why I would have a dream like this.
When we sleep, our subconscious is completely wide open. It's the perfect time for something supernatural to come in and make contact. It's easy for them to manipulate you. If a demon comes to you in your dream, essentially it is trying to infiltrate your life. Once they root themselves, it becomes harder and harder to get rid of them.
Now, let me ask you a question. Was it harder and harder
long.
for you to get rid of it?
We never did get rid of it.
What was that?
We never did get rid of what was there.
Really?
Oh, wow.
I lost my house, and I was going to fight about it. Like the whole neighborhood was affected by this. Like neighbors, because we lived in this house. This was my ex-husband's house he grew up in.
Yeah.
And my ex-husband and I lived there for 10, not 10, maybe quite a few, about 4 or 5 years, maybe longer. And we never really had this kind of activity. We knew all the neighbors. And it was once him and I separated, this started a few months after. And it was like all the neighbors had a complete shift in their personalities, their behavior. My one neighbor, his daughter used to babysit for us. The reason why I lost my house, it wasn't because I didn't pay my bills. I paid my bills. He used to and stand on our sidewalk and measure the grass. And if it was 1/100th of an inch over regulation, he would call the city bylaw officer. Everything in our house was broken. I am not kidding. I went through 13 tires on my van, you name it. And one summer we went through 4 lawnmowers, not because they just wouldn't start, they'd break, right? So we knew
Like, wait, what would happen? What would happen? Explain it.
they just wouldn't start. They'd be working fine, and then all of a sudden they wouldn't work. We
That's
had a
crazy.
brand new stove. I had the repairman come in. They replaced the element in the bottom. Couldn't get the stove to work. Our security cameras would record, but wouldn't record. So we had a monitor down in our bedroom in the basement. We had them come down there, check them. We had them come in many times. We had cameras break. Batteries were constantly draining. I mean, I could go on and on. The smells sometimes in the house. Anyways, after the 4th lawnmower that summer, one of my partner's, Dell's friends, was going to drop one off. He had an extra one. Well, the neighbor went around and had every neighbor, our yard was fenced, and called the city to explain that our grass was long. Our grass was about 3.5 feet long in the backyard. We were out at his family's camp. My oldest son was home. The city came in the backyard and cut the grass for 45 minutes and sent me a $2,500 bill to cut the grass.
Oh my God.
That's ridiculous.
They trespassed, first of all. Second of all, we weren't breaking any bylaws. We knew the bylaws. As long as it couldn't be seen from the front of the yard and it wasn't an environmental hazard, we could have had the grass as long as we wanted. So I was fighting this. I went through a pro bono legal service in Toronto. I was working on this with them, and I was told, bad legal advice, that if I paid my property taxes, I was in agreement with this, because I was trying to fight this. I'm not paying you for you guys to go in my backyard. Long story short, dragged out over a few years. That is why I lost my home. So could I have fought and maybe tried to get more financing again? Because property taxes weren't paid. And I had a friend say, maybe this is a gift. And I said, you know what? I think it is. And I let it go. We left. So it was never dealt with. It has been since dealt with. But every time we called somebody to try and get them to come, they either get pulled away. And I mean, I went worldwide with this. Or somebody would get sick in their family. They'd have a death in their family. I kid you not. Didn't matter what we tried. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, not to interrupt you, Dylan. I have this question before I forget it. Do you think we're dealing with interdimensional beings and not what we think that it is?
It depends what we're dealing with. I think that what happens when we're on the other side, right? We live in a duality on Earth here. There's positive, negative, hot, cold, light, dark, right? But when we're on the other side, we're looking at things right now, okay, from a human perspective. But when we are in our true form, I don't know if you call it energy, a soul, whatever it may be, and everything is energy, right? It can either be created or destroyed. It can be transferred from one place to another. I think anything in spirit form can be interdimensional. It can be in a gazillion different places at once. So was it interdimensional? I don't know. But I'm telling you, to be able to affect other people and to be able, like, I don't believe in coincidence, but every single person that we reached out to that was willing to help, something would happen so they wouldn't be able to come and help.
Yeah, of course. That's what normally happens in a demonic case. Like, it's like the demonic entity wants you to suffer, basically, you know?
And we did. And we did financially, health-wise, things you can't control. And people think that it's really cool because they see it on TV. I wouldn't wish this on a blade of grass. And I always say, not that I'm even better than a blade of grass, because we're all interconnected. We are. But people that think it'd be really cool to run into something like this, and I've told so many people this that I've run into, you do not realize what you're saying. Because they don't listen to you. And they go after what you can't control.
Yep, exactly. And that's how I felt about it. Like, there's been times where I thought to myself, it'd be cool to run into some of these demonic forces and stuff. And then after I thought about it, I was like, you know what? No, it really wouldn't, because you never know what you're dealing with. You never know what you're going to deal with, the craziness that comes with it, the lifelong tragedies that come with it, just the mental abuse, physical abuse. You never know.
It goes after what you love, what you need to live. It goes after any way it can hurt you the most. And the other thing I want to point out, because people think from TV that demons are hiding around every corner.
Yeah.
And I've run into people that say there's no such thing as demons. I don't know. We live in a duality here. So if you want to call it energy, I always say not every person is thinking love and light. And people do not realize how powerful their thoughts, their words, and their emotions are. Because here 2 weeks ago on a Thursday, I had 4 people independently that I happened to talk to about it, because we did have a bit of activity. It was sent to us.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So, like I say, it's not cool. And that's what I've tried to explain to people, that anything, it'll go, like you'll see on TV, right? People say, I was yelling at whatever was affecting us paranormally. Why don't you come after me instead of my children? Well, you've just told whatever's there where to go. Keep going after the kids. That's the best way to dig the knife in deeper. Or it goes after what you love, what you care about. Hey, Jonathan. And you have to be, like I say, it's not a cool thing. And there's people I've run into that have never experienced this. And I've actually said to them, then pray that you never do.
Yeah,
exactly. It's a crazy thing to run into, because like whenever I first started, the very first the second investigation I ever did, I got drug up a cemetery.
I believe it.
And it was what got me into it, but it was also what spooked me a good little bit. So, I mean, there's forces like that everywhere. Not as many as people would think. Like, it's not something you run into your house, you're going to find on a day-to-day basis, but they're out there.
And they feed off of fear, right? Lower energy, lower vibrational energy. So fear is I always used to say, this became like a full-time job. I'm not kidding, like 16 to 22 hours a day researching. And I started locally and just worked out, started taking courses and reading. And it's kind of how I rediscovered my own abilities, right? Because there were things I would know about a lot of this stuff that was in my home, because there was 4 different things. There are other people that experience this activity besides my partner and I. And the EVPs I've sent you, AJ, I think you may have, I think he sent them to you, Dylan, from Jason Bland with Paranormal Soup on Sunday nights. He does a show here on Facebook and YouTube. I can tell you, I have called into his show and all his sound equipment blew from the most active part of my home. There are old recordings I used to call into his show, and there are so many EVPs in the background. You can see shadows moving in the background. I mean, I used to do a podcast with a friend of mine, Seraphine Hurley. She's experiencing, there's been people that have come to our old home that experience things. So it wasn't just me and my family. Hi, Faye. Yes.
I get it. I totally get it. Here, let me bring this back up real quick and we'll get it going again so we can finish instead of staying on one topic, because we can talk about it forever.
That's right.
I know us.
Long before Lorilai's disturbing nightmare started to become a chilling reality.
Right after the dream, I started to notice ravens. They seem to always be in that tree where the dream was that I had. They were showing up every day.
They'll just come in and it'll be like a murder of crows. Just whole whack of them just right there.
Crows and ravens are.
Did we lose AJ?
I don't know what happened to AJ.
I think we did. Well, we can. I forgot about the crows. See, I tell this story so many times, but yeah, there was one in particular, and we had security cameras every morning around 9:30 in the morning. We just kept talking. I was talking about the crows.
Yeah, we seen we lost you, and we was like,
Anyways,
out of nowhere, I got kicked out of that was so weird. I've never had that happen once. It just kicked me out of the studio out of nowhere. But hold on, I'm sharing my screen again to put that back up so we can finish this, because it gets starting to get even more interesting. So hold on one sec. Let me get this back up. I can't believe it did that. I've never had it ever kick me out of
your
the
audio
studio.
was screwy when you came back on too. It was going click, 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 click. Did you hear that?
Wow.
yeah.
That's weird. That's really weird.
Well, it's because you're here, Lori.
I'd probably.
Yep. I'm not gonna say you're wrong. All right. Here is
Of the evil to come.
this.
Shortly after the dream, I did do some research to find out, is there any truth to this dream? Does something like this actually exist? And found out a little bit more about this entity. There was a symbol with this particular entity. He could be represented by a crow or a raven. I was taking some food out of the oven. As I was pulling it out, the oven door was completely down. And all of a sudden, it sprang up onto my arm and burnt me.
Brave Jackie.
"12 hours later, it turned black, almost like a brand. But the creepy part about this mark is the outline of my burn completely matched this entity's symbol.
It didn't look like that.
No.
When all of this started increasing in frequency for me, it completely affirmed that the information I'd been given in that dream was now starting to happen to us in real life.
No.
The attack
Lorilei,
was just the
real
beginning
quick,
of the
I
terrifying
want you to
activity in
discuss
Lorilei's
what it
home.
felt like to have that dream and to describe in detail what exactly you actually saw compared to what they said. Was it completely accurate what they said, or is there something missing?
That's
Yeah.
what stopped it. So what happened was that dream happened. It's like I had it 10 minutes ago, and this is well over probably 16 years ago. There was a tree in my front yard, and it wasn't winter like they showed it. I just was in front of the tree, and as I look up, and I always say I'm not a high maintenance kind of girl, but he had on a very expensive dark charcoal colored white pinstripe suit, white silk tie, white silk shirt, black tie. And then as you went up, he had this, it was all in one piece, but it was very shortly trimmed black goatee and mustache. His hair was black, slicked back to about just below ear length. It was his skin. Like I said, they interviewed us for 6 hours. So you can see where, like, when I watch it every time, I go, oh crap. I remember they took bits and pieces and they spliced it all together to tell a story, right? Not quite like how we
Right.
So what happened was his skin was kind of this sickly, whitish kind of green, but his eyes, and they didn't put that part in either, they were completely black, and then they would go to flame back and forth. So he did call me by name, and he tried to get me to, and I'm like, who the heck is this guy, right? I don't realize I'm dreaming. Then he said to me, I had a little business making jewelry and pet supplies and stuff. And I just said a couple nights before, I was still married to my husband at the time. And I said, wow, I'd gone around the city and everybody wanted to carry my merchandise, but nobody wanted compensation for it. They were going to do it for free. We had just watched the movie The Secret when it came out. So you know how long ago this was. And we were joking, going, oh, maybe it was The Secret. Then I had this dream like 2 days later. So this thing knew that we had this conversation, because he said, you know, that little, I'm getting goosebumps as I'm telling you, it's not cold in here. Yeah. He said, you know, that little business of yours, that's nothing. He said, I can give you wealth. I can give you fame. I can give you anything beyond your wildest dreams. All you have to do is agree to follow me. And I said,
waiting. I'm waiting for you to ask me that question, because I'm going to be like, yeah, I want it in writing.
I didn't do that. I said it's not podcast or radio friendly. Let's just say there were a lot of curse words. And I said, who are you? And he told me he was a demon, told me his name, and told me how to spell it. And I said, in no uncertain terms would I agree to anything like that. And he continued to try to tempt me. And again, even more emphatically, I told him where to go. And that's when he took his finger and shook it at me and went, oh, no, 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 no. Every time you see a crow or a raven, you're going to know who it is. And in the dream, called on Archangel Michael, and there was, I can't even describe the colors, how brilliant they were. It was like a dark royal blue, silver, and white. I woke up shaking, crying, and in a sweat in the middle of the night, and I'm not a crier. So that's how the dream happened.
Right. Yeah. You know what that
Yeah.
sounds like to me?
What's
That sounds like one of them stories where people talk about selling their soul to the devil. If you agree to follow in his terms, then you get anything you want. And I'm just thinking to myself, if that ever happened, absolutely not. I'll stay with my brokenness, my no car, whatever I got at that time. I'll stay with whatever I got before I sell my soul to the straight up devil.
Now, the thing I have a question about from the legend and the lore I've seen, never mind that Jackie Barrett had mentioned about crows and ravens, and they are not a sign of evil. I agree. They're highly intelligent. They're beautiful animals, but it was what he had said to me in my dream. So were they even real crows and ravens, what we saw? I don't know. Because as you were coming back on, I was saying to Dylan, AJ, when you're popping back on with one particular crow, 9:30 in the morning, every morning beyond fail, I kid you not, that thing would pop up the stairs, front steps to the house, hop on the railing, and turn its head and peer right into the camera.
Oh, dude, I mean, I totally agree with you, and I wouldn't doubt that it wasn't doing that because I've been in a situation where I've had an entity do something like that. So I totally understand what you're talking about. And
so was it a real crow? We didn't think so.
What did you say?
We don't think it was a real crow.
Right.
Oh, no, definitely not. Because let me tell you something. My grandfather, okay, he was seeing before he passed away, he was seeing cloaked men circling outside the window of the house in the street and with black hoods on, and you couldn't see their face. And he would tell us, he would walk us over the window, you don't see them, you don't see them. He would call the cops on them, the cops would come out, nobody was there. And one day he like really brought me over the window and he's like, Aunt, it's during the day. He's like, please tell me you see this person. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't. And like, I don't know if that, was his punishment maybe, or whatever for what he did to my grandma. I mean, he actually only had two other kids, and in the 1950s, that's a no-no. So
Because I've worked heavily in palliative care, and to me, and I could be wrong, but when he saw it, it was real to him, definitely. I almost feel like it was something preying on his fear. I do, versus something to punish him, and again, that's just my thoughts, but I really feel like, he did see what he saw. But usually when people pass away, you don't see things like that. But then again, I don't have all the answers. I have seen pictures in hospitals with black figures, cloaked figures with, off of a security camera or something. So I don't know. I feel sorry for him. Oh,
it's scary. It's really scary when you actually encounter it. And it's something that I can't describe to anybody because it's a psychological attack for the long game. It's not something that's going to be a quick thing. Like you could threaten it, you could challenge it, and it's going to laugh at you because it's going to wait. It may not be tomorrow, it may not be the next day, it may not be a year, it may not be 2 years, but one day you're going to be vulnerable and it's going to be there and it's going to say, my turn.
Yep, that's exactly what it would do too. And it's just one of them things. When something like that happens to you, if you're the only one seeing it, it makes you think, am I crazy? And then it makes you feel so bad about it because you're telling all these people, can you see what I'm seeing right now? And they're telling you no. Some of them's thinking you're crazy. And then some of them believe in you. With people like us, we'd be believing it. And it's just, that makes them go crazy. Like they lose their minds and everything over it.
Plus, it makes you feel really alone, and then you don't feel like you can trust yourself, right? If you're seeing something that nobody else is seeing, and so right then and there, it gets isolating because you're not going to keep telling people. Like, thankfully, your grandfather could ask you or share it with you, but it's very isolating, especially if, say, as an older person, for example, when and maybe they don't have dementia or something like that, right? It's terrifying because a lot of people, the scary part about death is the unknown. We don't know what to expect. I can tell you from near-death experience study, though, for the last 40 years professionally and personally, and I had one as a toddler. Usually, and I mostly worked in palliative care. So, most people that it was sort of a longer illness or what have you, they would see things towards the end. I never had anybody say anything negative, though. It was usually maybe an angel or a pet or a family member. So to me, you're absolutely right, AJ. That was a psychological attack.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the one thing that they do, whether it's a negative spirit or if it's truly demonic spirit. And with the truly demonic spirit, it's such a psychological attack that it brings you to your knees. Even a negative entity, like I had an attachment one time, and this entity had the power to get me up and sleepwalk me all the way to the edge of my driveway where cars were coming because we live on a main street, and I woke up smoking a cigarette, and I was literally so close to the edge. I was like, I could have got hit by a car. I have no idea how that happened. So I'm like, I have no choice but to.
I had one situation like that. I hadn't slept for quite a few days, and
Yeah.
the way they show it in this episode is not the way it happened. But yeah, I don't remember it happening. It happened to me once in the previous home.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, let's keep it going.
You hear your noises in the house all over the place. All of a sudden, we heard this smash. And we're like, what the hell was that?
There's a curio cabinet that hung on the wall.
Somehow this had lifted up off these hooks. It flew 12 feet over into the living room.
I didn't do that.
No, what is happening?
Or that.
It had all my treasures from when I was a little girl, from birthdays, little crystal animals, things from my grandmothers that are now deceased. The demon didn't just want to physically hurt me.
Come on,
it's going after me emotionally now, too.
Lorilei believed the demon from her dream was responsible.
All right, go ahead. Say what you were saying.
Okay, so first of all, that happened probably about six months after my husband and I broke up. Little things were happening when my ex-husband was still in the home, though, too. Like you'd go, everybody keeps their keys in a certain place, right? We had a bookshelf at the front door. Your keys, put your cell phone down. You bend down to put your shoes on. You stand up. Keys are gone. Tear the whole house apart thinking, am I going crazy? Okay, guess I'm not going out. And so an hour or two later, you go pick up the mail or flyers. There's your keys, exactly where you put them. So we had stuff happen, but this happened right at the beginning of the really severe stuff. After about 6 months after this dream, my ex-husband and I had broken up. Dell and I were together, and our bedroom was in the basement. It happened at 11 p.m. at night. My boys slept upstairs. So my eldest met us in the kitchen. And indeed, it was a curio cabinet or whatever you want to call it. It was about that size. And what had happened actually, and they kind of spliced what Della had said, my partner, is it was hanging on a wall for years, never moved. Okay. So we heard this horrific crash. We come running upstairs. My son meets us in the kitchen. What the heck was that? We're looking around, kind of an open concept, if you will, the kitchen. There's a space below the cupboards and the dining rooms here. That cabinet hung on the back of the kitchen cupboards. Okay. It'd been there for years. So we start looking. We notice that it's way over in the living room, about 12 feet from where it hung. But as we started looking, okay, the hooks were still on the wall where it had come from. The left one was reefed like reefed down. You could not bend it with your hand. You would have to take a hammer or pliers, but it was bent down. Other one's still intact. On the back of the cabinet, the hooks are still on the back. You could see where it hung, the one where it had come off with such force, it was bent. But where it hung, okay, 4 feet to the left is where the dining room wall ended. So we figure it flew off the wall to the left. As it came back, it sliced our answering machine, our caller ID, and our portable phone. It looked like someone had used a scalpel to cut it. We don't even know how it cut it. And then that's how we found it in the living room. So it had at least flown probably about 15, 16 feet in total.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
That is crazy.
So I have pictures. I've sent them to AJ, and we have shared them with the public. The cabinet was still intact, and there's pictures of the hook on the wall, okay, where it was bent down, and on the back too, but the glass was all broken inside. It did have a lot of my things in there that meant a lot that were broken, but it didn't just target me. Like I said, it went after my kids. It went after Dell. There, like I said, there were other people affected, but that was when we knew we had a problem, like a major problem when that happened. But it was in the beginning. There's Dell's watch. I told him to come up and he may join me now that he's hearing me, and he'll tell you he's still a skeptic to this day. He was thrown 15 feet across the kitchen. Never told me for 2 days. He had a circuit tester out, was testing the fridge. He wondered if he'd gotten shocked or something. So both of us had stuff happen. My kids had stuff happen, but that happened early on. Like the burn didn't happen, and then the cabinet was the first major thing that happened that we knew, holy crap, there's a problem here.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely crazy right there.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. For
Like
sure.
he said,
All right,
something happened that he couldn't physically recreate, because even to this day, he will debunk it 6 ways to Sunday before he will even begin to say, yeah, maybe it's paranormal. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to start it right now. Give me 1 sec. And on Facebook, it didn't work out for me. So
he's coming up now with your orange hat on. I told him he could have joined me, but so
hey, that's all right. If he wants to come on, you could have him come on.
If you don't, he's right here. He'll probably just pop in here with me. There he is. This is
that works too.
Hey,
then it turned its attention to Dell.
Hey, what?
We'll just ask Jackie Bryant for this. May I ask where you
I became very worried that it wants to make us aware that it's here. All of a sudden, boom, I get hit.
Lorilei Potvin had been visited by a demonic entity in a nightmare. And ever since, Lorilei and her partner Dell had fallen victims to strange paranormal activity, which had escalated into violence.
All of a sudden, and I got smashed right in the shoulder. It was like actually pretty significant. And I turned around and there was nobody there. There's something that is not physically natural happening in the house that I can't explain. All of a sudden, boom, I get hit. It hit me in the center of the chest, and I went flying, ended up in the cabinets. And I was stunned, I just got body checked.
Okay.
And I thought I got electrocuted or something. Checked out the fridge. Is there electrical short? Because I didn't want anybody else to get electrocuted. Nothing. I can't explain that part at all.
So I hope that answers for Jackie. Do you want to explain? Like you're trying to debunk what else caused it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, well, it was sort of weird. Is that I'll tell you the situation. I was upstairs. I was making a sandwich, right? And the fridge is in one corner, and then the way that sort of like almost like a C that went around there.
and where the sink is on the far side where the stove is. And so I was making a sandwich at the counter, and then I said, "Oh, I grab some mustard," right? So I'm looking at the mustard, or looking in the fridge. So I'm down on like one knee in front of the fridge, looking, and
that's when he proposed. No, I'm just joking.
And also, I don't see the mustard, right? I get booted away from the fridge. I'm looking up, and they sort of, I guess their layout of the kitchen was sort of different. I'm 15 feet across the kitchen, and I just see stars in my eyes. I'm like, and then the fridge door is open. Like, what just happened there?
Oh my God.
You're just looking at the fridge going, what's that? I get up, and the mustard is on the counter behind me.
And he didn't see it over his head or anything.
That's crazy.
Yeah, lots of crazy stuff happened.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, well, so I'm still sort of like a little bit dazed. I finished making my sandwich, put everything away. I go down, I'm eating my sandwich, and I'm thinking, going, did I just get electrocuted? Like,
he didn't even tell me like right away. Like it was a couple days later. He finally told me he had a cut on his elbow, and I said, "What happened? Where'd you cut your arm?"
Yeah.
So I bring up all my electronic equipment, battery testers, and scopes and everything like that, checking circuits, because we had another part there too. Did you tell them about the part where we had that fire in the wall that happened? Remember when the fire department
they're
came?
playing the Paranormal Survivor episode,
okay.
and we're debunking what's true and what's not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're sitting in the living room, and all of a sudden, all through the drywall, these lights start going up through there, and the smoke coming out through the wall, called the fire department. And they come in there, and it says, "Yeah, there's nothing wrong with your circuits. Yeah, there's nothing wrong. There's no fire." We thought the whole place was going to burn down. Like they were checking through everything. So that's why I thought that had happened just beforehand. So that's why I thought that there was something wrong with the fridge, right? So,
yeah.
And we caught lots of different stuff there.
Well,
like
they're going to go through the rest of the episode.
Camera and stuff like that, where we had glowing orbs in the basement that were on camera. But then they my recorder for the security cameras, the hard drive would never ever work again.
I told them that it wouldn't record.
Mm-hmm. So you could just only watch in live time there, and you couldn't or capture it with your phone. Yeah, just crazy things like that. Like that curio cabinet, like I heard her say there is like they cut it off in the show, is that it popped up about 2 feet, went over 4 feet, sliced all the wires straight down, and then went back 15 feet into the living room, over top of boxes, chairs, and a table. And there's no way that you could push this thing up, because the hooks sort of they were like loose this way, like they would rock.
But you couldn't bend them.
And but the thing is, it was like, even if an animal went up to try and knock it off, to even put it up yourself was like, I tried with a broom to knock this thing up and get it to go any direction. It would never go.
So that's what he's talking about. Hi, Nicole. I was just for Jackie, when he said debunking, he was trying to see what else could have caused it, rather than just saying, yeah, this has got to be paranormal, which I think is a good idea. I think you have to have some skepticism in this field, right? And debunk things. I think you do.
Absolutely. You always got to try and debunk it one way or another. That's what we normally do if we're on investigation or something. We try and debunk things just to see what's real, what's not.
Or recreate it.
Because like right underneath where that curio cabinet was our recycling stuff with the cans and stuff like that. So if one of the cats or the dogs were in there, you would have heard them in that first.
Yeah.
Like smashing cans before it. There was none of that, right? So
definitely came off with force.
And I don't know how they would have jumped.
They said hi, Del. Good to see you.
Hey, hello. How's it going?
So there's probably not a ton left. The one thing I will say, and I won't ruin the ending if people haven't seen that, I think it happened pretty close. They showed to what happened.
Okay. So let's get this going. Let's finish this up, and let's see what happens. And I know we're going to stop again because there's a lot to discuss.
Okay. Excuse me.
Okay, why isn't it?
I don't know.
Well, there we go.
There you go.
Don't want us to see it.
You had weird stuff happen already tonight.
I'm telling you.
When Dell got thrown, that was terrifying. It has that much power to throw a fully grown man. What else is going to happen? That's when we started to really worry. It could hurt or kill somebody in our home.
Lorilei had reached her breaking point and knew she needed outside help.
All we needed was somebody that could help us remove this from our home.
I'm sorry if I laugh at this because this is not how this happens.
I think there's a lot of creative license here.
And this was at the beginning.
The psychic medium said, I can hear drums. That is my sign for something extremely old, extremely ancient. He did describe to me what he was able to see.
See a man leaning against a tree.
And what he was able to see was identical to what I had witnessed in that dream.
Well, and again, I don't know what just happened. That's so crazy.
Jonathan, who does Talking with the Source with you, him and I did the Estes method one time because I also follow true crime. And I warned him, and he had some creepy stuff come through towards the end. Do I think I have an attachment? No, I do not. Yeah. It's just weird stuff happens around.
Yeah, it happens around all of us all the time, and we can't explain it, and I hate it.
But you guys can see this, and I haven't told them about the stream. I'm not crazy. This is real. He then almost passed out, and he had tears just streaming down his eyes. All he said was it was demonic. He confirmed it. He had asked for it to be crossed over into the light.
Don't even leave this house! Demon, be gone! Cross away!
He was told by his guides and angels that wasn't possible. There was something powerful in our house. I really believe it just irritated and aggravated it.
You need me to stop it?
Sure, if you want. I usually laugh.
Yeah, if you want to explain, I want you to
stop it.
The
psychic intervention had been unsuccessful,
Okay, you can stop it, I'll explain it.
leaving Lorilei and Dell in a dangerous situation.
After the psychic had been to our house.
Yeah, you was laughing pretty hard at that.
Yeah.
Well, this happened early on. Dell was really sick. There was no answer for it. You were downstairs in our bedroom when all this was going on. So you didn't see this. This is when I explained at the beginning of when we started doing this. It was actually a female locally and very gifted light worker. And when I met her at the door, she said her guides and her angels had told her to bring everything she had, that she was in for the fight of her life, is what she had said to me. She was asked to be part of the episode. She very politely declined. And of course, we respected that. So that's why I had to say he. It did not happen that way. Like, actually, when you're seeing it,
it wasn't a Ghostbusters movie like they.
No, but what I was going to say is the first time we saw this, we started laughing, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but the way they made it almost look like the psychic was in there, it was like, demon, be gone. It didn't happen like that. And then the other thing was in the episode, it looks like the male psychic is yelling that, and then he runs out and leaves the person playing me like kind of like, bye, biatch, you're on your own kind of thing. If you ever watch it, you'll see he just runs right out. That's not what happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Outside.
Yeah, they like to change up a lot of things. That's why, like, I know a guy that they offered to be, like, when he was doing the paranormal, which he still is, they offered for him to be on a show, and they told him they wanted him to swap everything up, change everything, and he just said he's not being a part of that. And they do like to change everything up and take the important parts out and leave some of them.
Well, they have to make the show interesting, right? So
Yep.
creative licensing.
Did
on
you
it,
get
so-
kicked out again, AJ?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on today. Like, I've never been kicked out of a show before, ever in my life.
I told you it's because you're here.
No, I'm telling you what, man, Spirit does this all the time. Like, they'll literally mess with me all the time throughout every show that I have. Like, it's really weird. And it's so funny. I love it.
You know, we get EVPs, they get all kinds of stuff during shows. So, like I said, it didn't quite happen that way. And she came early on in all this. Like, this just didn't happen over a couple months. This is quite a few years that we went through this.
Well, the reason that I went and bought the security system and set up cameras inside the house and outside the house is because all of our batteries in the three vehicles were dying all the time, and we're getting flat tires. I'm going, it says, is somebody messing with like the cars, like coming and sticking nails in the side of those sidewalls, and how's the batteries all draining all at the same time?
The lawnmower.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, I set up security cameras. Somebody's doing this. I'm going to catch who it is and take a baseball bat to them, right? But nobody was ever there.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, did it keep happening after you put the security cameras up? The flat tires, the dead batteries.
But our security cameras wouldn't record. Like, I took pictures of things. Like, there's one picture I have. And we had a big monitor that watched all the cameras down in our bedroom. And I remember Del saying, I forget what you said. You go, who's that old lady on the security camera?
Yeah, who's the old lady at the on the sidewalk?
And when I looked, I went,
wheelchair.
that's no old lady, because there was 4 main entities, and Del and my 2 sons. My sons were just like barely teenagers. They had named it the Shy Guy. So if you've ever played Super Mario, the little guy that looks like the Grim Reaper with the white Jason hockey mask, that's what they said he looked like. I went, that's no old lady. So I had to take a picture of the screen, and I said, stay there, watch a screen. I ran upstairs and I took a picture from the front door to see what it was. Our neighbor's dad had like this old type of sports car. There's nothing on the camera. 5 seconds later from me taking a picture, but you could see from the screen there was something there. It's got like a black, like almost cloak. It's very fuzzy, like not the way you'd see it clearly, because I'd take it off the monitor.
Yeah, we also had another thing there. We used to have a deer that used to walk by the front of our house.
I didn't even get into all that stuff because they're trying to get through the episode.
Oh, and then one time there or whatever, and we were sitting downstairs, and I says, something just popped up, because it was sort of like a 3-way sort of intersection into a residential area.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden something popped up right in the part of the intersection. I go, that's a huge wolf. What's that doing there? And it walked right in front of the camera, right beside the car. And it took up like from my bumper all the way to like the back passenger door. And I went, holy cow, that's not a...
And I seen a white one.
And I was like, I said, that looks like a dire wolf. Like, that's huge. And I went outside to go and measure what the size of it was. And I says, it wasn't a deer. It wasn't a moose. Wasn't a bear. This was like a wolf, because you could see the tail, and it wasn't a fox. I was like, holy, because I said to her, I says, what's that? And I ran upstairs to see if I can go outside, see if I can catch it outside with my camera, right?
I had one that was white across the street, and it was a friend of mine I was talking to on the phone, and she kept yelling at me. It was girl talk very quickly. She lives on the West Coast in the US, and she was girl talk going, oh, what did you just color your hair? What color is it? I said, oh, I can't remember. Let me go outside. The box is in the garbage, and this is 2:00 in the morning. And I see this just as big as what he said across the street, white with these ice blue eyes. And I'm looking at this thing, and it turns and it looks, I'm getting goosebumps as I'm telling you guys. So anyways, it starts walking, and my friend's screaming at me, Lorilei, get in the house. I'm going, why? And I turned the phone and go, can't you see this? She couldn't see it. She's going, get in the house. So I got inside. I go, why? She goes, you couldn't hear all that growling and snarling? I go, no. But my kid, who didn't even know why I was going outside, goes, Mom, what was going on? I go, what do you mean? He goes, you didn't hear all that growling and snarling? I don't know what it was. So we've seen all kinds of things. We experienced weird things. The end of this, though, did happen. And that is the one thing that happened true too. Delaware.
Yeah.
That is absolutely wild. Listen, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit into
Please
this
do.
thing
Yeah.
so we can
The
get it done a
ending
little
is
bit
the
sooner
part that
because I
was
know you have
scary.
things you have to take care of. So let me get this pulled up again. Hold on one second.
That does sound like one of them one of them wolf or being type things you see that some people would be lured to because you said it was ice white with blue eyes.
I think
So
that,
some people would be like, "That's wild. Let me go check that out because it's just a beautiful creature,"
yeah.
which everybody knows is a mistake to do something like that.
Well, that person that put the comment on there about like the Twilight wolves, I says, yeah, big like those things. Like it was huge. If you ever, anybody seen the movie Twilight, where they're in there, where these wolves are huge, like it took up like 3/4 of the size of a car.
Okay, he wants to get
Yeah.
to, 'cause
Okay.
we're
Sorry.
only
Yeah.
on
Okay.
here for
Yeah.
a short period.
No, you're good. Keep going.
No, play on there. Yeah. That's I was just explaining how big the wolf looked like. If you would, if
Yeah.
anybody, yeah.
Well, there's activity of stuff like wolves like that in a lot of locations. Like look at Skinwalker Ranch. You know, so I mean,
I've
there's
been
I think
watching a
there's people like
documentary on that.
yeah, you know.
It made the activity much, much worse. The next night, I was sitting right by the laundry and I was having a smoke. Del could see me in the bedroom on the security camera.
I set up cameras because there was a lot of break-ins around the area. Laura was in the laundry room. She was sitting down, and all of a sudden she gets up.
And he said it looked like I was like a marionette. My arms were just moving. I don't remember this. He said I stood up and I was talking to something and laughing.
I'm laughing.
I don't remember it.
She was pointing and talking to somebody in the corner. The movement on the camera as I was watching TV, I was like, what's going on over here? It's just sort of half asleep, half not asleep. I went in there, I said, who are you talking to?
I felt really angry and I don't normally feel that angry. And I said, don't talk to me that way. And all he said was, Laura, get out of here. We'll talk about it when you're out of this room.
All of a sudden,
That
now
did
she's
not
irate,
happen. That's what I
because
was upset about.
Disturbed her, and she started getting all pissy.
That was the part I was talking about that I was upset because I never hit him and I wasn't screaming and yelling. I felt angry. And I said, why are you talking to me like this? But there was none of this. And that's what I don't like because I'm not a violent person. I never hit him. And yeah.
Right, they made it out to be like you was somebody you're not.
Like I was a psycho ballerina dancing all over the place. And first time we saw this, Del and I were laughing. I'm sorry, because I understand they were doing a show, but we did laugh, did we not? With most of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was not ballerina dancing and laughing. And like I said at the beginning of this girl I never met. She definitely took her role very seriously. So yes, you can watch it on YouTube. I don't know, probably AJ, I gave you the name of it. We can probably tell them at the end, right? Because it's almost over anyways, the episode. Is he there still? Are we frozen? Is he frozen? I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, I guess the whole thing out of there is that all I noticed is I had two 36-inch TVs. One was hooked up to security cameras with 4 cameras, and then one was the regular TV. And the one camera there that I had pointed in the basement because I had prior, there was stuff that was happening above the floor where the curio cabinet was and in the basement below. So I was filming the basement because I was getting times there you'd be sitting there and you'd see this light orb show up. And then I went outside to go and see if I tried I got like a 1,000,000 lumen flashlight. I tried bouncing off lights to see if I would get the same effect. Like, is this a reflection coming from somewhere? And nothing was happening. And you'd have this orb that would be like right underneath where all that stuff happened with the fridge being thrown and being hit above the curio cabinet. It says, okay, it's all in this sort of this area. So I was filming below, and that's where she was sitting there. And I was just watching TV, and out of the corner of my eyes, I see her just stand up, and she's pointing and she's yelling at something and pointing and talking. And I'm going, what the F is going on here? Right. Like, I'm going, this doesn't seem right. And then when I went in there, she like she was sort of like half awake, half asleep. And I was like, okay. And then she wasn't violent or anything like that. No. She was just didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
And so I had to drag her sort of away out of the room. And then
we still can't hear you, AJ.
Can't hear you, AJ.
Sorry, I said, which is a very big thing, because a lot of people, once they go to a location, certain locations call them back constantly for some reason.
Yep, I know that for
the residue. You know?
Yep, it's like that at this place up here I go to. It's called Loveberry Church. If you ever get a chance, look it up. It's very, very, very wild.
I don't remember doing that. Like I had said to you guys before, you must have been watching, but I had said I hadn't slept well. You're going to find out why I didn't sleep well. And especially after, by the end of this episode, he almost died. And, okay, I usually stayed awake. It was usually me, if not, or him, to watch over the other three while they slept. And you'll see why at the end of this episode. That did happen the way they show it here.
Yeah.
So it was due to the spirit.
Well, I don't know what else. I almost took a picture of what came out of him, and then I thought, oh, geez, maybe that's going a bit far, but I am kicking myself that I didn't. You'll see, without giving it away if people haven't seen this before. Hi, Jeffrey. I just saw your comment there. Everybody else, I didn't get a chance to say hi to.
All right, so I'm going to start this up again. Hold on one sec. Add the stage. Bring this back. And let's finish up this little bit here. It's
almost done.
Yeah, almost done. So
they basically pushed her out of the room. Whatever was happening there, I can't explain it.
As soon as I left the room, the anger started to dissipate.
It did right away.
I remember thinking, my goodness, I'm not normally like this. I don't feel angry like this.
Once I removed her from that zone, things started to normalize with her.
It was the energy in the room, just the negativity around me that made me feel that way.
Demons can definitely control a person's actions and body. They're a very strong, powerful energy. We are made up of energy. We're not that hard to manipulate.
We got into bed. Dell fell asleep. I laid awake there and was thinking about this whole incident. Why did I not remember this? Nothing like that had ever happened before. Once Dell was asleep, it had probably been about 45 minutes, and I was still laying there awake, thinking about all of this. It was almost like he was seizuring. He started just like violently shaking.
Dell, honey, Dell, wake up!
I remember grabbing him and pulling him up and shaking him, saying, Dell, wake up.
Wake up.
Dell, wake up. And that's when he started choking.
Dell! Dell!
I thought he was going to die.
Lorilei Potvin and her partner Dell were being terrorized by a demonic entity in their home.
Del?
And the terrifying haunting had now become a matter of life and death.
He started choking.
Del! Del!
It was like this black stuff, almost like a thicker mucus. He was choking on it. I've never seen anything like it.
Del! Del! Del!
I thought he was going to die.
I was bent over the side of the bed, puking. Just this stuff coming out of my mouth. I felt like somebody was like crushed me.
I was terrified because I'm thinking, what the hell is going on here?
When a person is choking up black mucus during a demonic attack, that usually means there's a possession trying to take place. The demonic entity is trying to get in.
I really do think he would have died. I mean, he started this violent shaking.
Del!
And then as I was trying to wake him up, he starts choking almost to death. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't get any air in. Had that happened and there had been nobody there to help him, would he have been awake enough? Would he have been able to get out of bed and find me? I don't know. It was the most terrifying night ever. After that, and I don't want to cry about this, but it's because it sounds crazy, but I could have lost him.
You got to remember, too, they're asking you all these questions that they don't put on there. They're interviewing us for 6 hours of this.
What did we do to bring something like this to us? Not bad people. I mean, this has affected every aspect of our life. And it's still not ending.
And when we
After the near-death experience, Lorilei and Dell had to take desperate measures.
Since this happened, one of us, either Dell or I, has stayed awake to watch over.
Somebody is always aware and is awake because you don't know what's going to happen when you're asleep, right?
That's pretty
Feeling
well
like
it.
this, wondering about what could happen next is stressful, but that's the way it has to happen.
And biggest fear is one of us dying. That's my biggest fear.
Look, I need you here.
After countless attempts to get help from paranormal experts, Lorilei and Dell were left on their own to deal with the demonic entity.
Every time we try to contact
I tell
them,
you,
they're
this
all
is
gung
one of
ho
the
for it. They
fascinating
seem to run for the
stories
hills.
I've ever heard.
I told them they need you here now.
We believe in a higher power. We hold the hope always that we're going to find somebody that will be able to help us. There has to be help out there.
That part's really true there. In that is that people that we had contacted and says, "Oh yes, we take your case. We'll come down there and do this," and then right before they're going to come, oh yeah, no, we can't come there.
Or something would happen.
Or says, oh no, if something happened, yeah, oh yeah, there's no way we can get there.
Yeah, that's kind of stuff's crazy.
There's way more to this story. Sorry, go ahead, AJ.
No, so what I want to do is I want to bring you back on. Sorry, hold on. There's something active, so you might hear it. Hold on 1 second. Stupid browser. Okay, hold on. There we go.
But that last part there they did there when I think
just wrapping up.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the last part they did there when they saying that I was puking up that black stuff, that actually really happened. And like we
I
had like
agree.
a bowl that was there, and my ribs were sore for about 2 weeks. It felt like somebody had actually crushed my ribs.
He's trying to wrap this
Yeah,
up.
sorry. Okay,
He's
go
gonna,
on.
he said he'll bring us back on.
No, I'm not saying like, I mean, never mind.
I did
never
tell
mind.
him he was busy when I came on, so he didn't know, because I said you should probably join me with this. But if you want, we can both come back on sometime, and because there's way more to the
Please,
story.
I would love to have you guys back on as soon as possible so that we can go over your story from your point of view, because we've seen tonight the point of view of what a story gets made into for
Yeah.
entertainment.
And
You know,
people
Absolutely.
believe what they see on TV. That's the fascinating stuff, because I'm writing a book about this, what we went through. But
yeah.
I don't, how many times have we seen? I mean, I don't like watching myself, so I haven't seen it that many times. But some of the comments, and I've told you, like, people have written, please forgive me for the way I say this, but they've written, I know why this has happened to you people. You live in sin. You're not married, or you don't have.
Yeah.
I mean, we've heard
Yeah.
The thing that gets me, right, I study ancient texts now, and it's so funny because I go back farther than the Bible. I'll look at Sumerian tablets, I'll look at, the Gilgamesh, all this stuff, right? And it's so funny that, we as Christians have become so deceived that we believe the bullshit that's in that Bible, and we don't realize that half those stories have been copied from another story that was 10,000 years or whatever it
Yep.
was, 100, whatever, 125 years, you know, away from that whole situation. So it's like it's a whole different thing. It has to do with aliens, it has to do with beings coming from the heavens. I mean, it's like it's pretty crazy. Like, and it's like I just wish that we would get to know the truth,
Yeah, well, the truth is out there, that's for sure, but it's
Yeah.
hidden up by people that want to conceal the truth to maintain power. Everything's about power and control. It's not
Always.
money, it's power and control, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad our world's got to live like that,
Yeah.
But that's why they have people like all of us doing this and doing shows like this, and looking at these things and talking about it. And if it resonates, and more people are not woke, but waking up and realizing they need to look at something. If it doesn't feel right, doesn't smell right, doesn't sound right, to take a look at themselves and be broad about it where you look at it. People. Go ahead. Sorry, Dylan.
No, you're good. I was just going to say, yeah, like you were saying. And I mean, to be honest with you, you having a point of view from you being on that show, telling us what was true, what's not, that right there, just one episode alone makes me think of TV a whole different way, because I know that all of it's not always real, but the fact that it changes that much just blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just so grateful because nobody's asked us to do this before, have they?
No,
nobody ever has
Well,
asked
you guys
us.
are more than welcome, and I plan on having you back to share even more, because we can't dive everything in just an hour. We went an hour and a half, but we still didn't even
Sorry,
dive
we kept you long on your. You're just new
I
at this.
shouldn't have intruded then.
No.
Sorry.
No, you're absolutely fine.
But one thing I wanted to say was Jackie Barrett, she said, and
I know.
another important factor, where do you think this came from? Like, what provoked it?
Mhm.
Do you think somebody put something on both of you? It would be interesting to know the other side, meaning what is your feeling about like where this all came from?
Well, she has an idea of that, and I have an idea of it.
You got to realize, Dell and I have known each other our entire lives. Some of his
I
family.
feel bad for you, Del.
Yeah.
No,
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I
No.
love
We
Laura.
have this aunt and uncle through marriage. We always describe it like we're like the second generation of the two families coming together.
That's
So
great.
he's had some interesting stuff happen to him, but you got to remember, I worked in palliative care, and some of the places I worked was very, like, a lot of rape, a lot of murder, a lot of drug use, alcohol use. And I'm not being judgmental. What I'm saying is it can lead to a lot of depression, a lot of energy, more energy stuck in the
100%.
land. So I have a feeling that maybe something followed me, or because I am an empath, followed me when it passed, maybe an attachment, something.
I had an ex-girlfriend that was a witch too.
Yes, and yeah.
So
So I think it may be that. Now, I've been told by numerous people that I was supposed to be doing something that would make a change positive, not in the way that I'm going to be a movie star. So I don't mean that, but something with my own practice. I thought it was very arrogant, but now looking at where we are in life, I think there may have been a bit of truth to that. I don't know, but that's some of the reasons we've been given and things we've talked about that we're not sure, right?
Yeah, but there's, I just see like it just in my own part there. We can talk about this on the next time. I think there's your situations and stuff like that, people you come in contact with. I've been, it's really weird that, like, I don't think there is no such thing as coincidences, but I've come in contact with 5 different witches in my life.
Wow.
And they just show up and they just start talking to me, and I don't even know them.
Bad.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. So that's awesome, though. That's so awesome because getting to pick their brain is even better, you know.
Yeah.
But I want to say thank you guys so much for coming on. I'm going to schedule you guys to come on again because, like I said, there's so much more we need to dive into. So I will set up a thing right when we get off here for you guys to come on the next, like, few weeks.
Awesome.
And we'll restart from where we started and we'll dive deeper. So please join her, and I would love to have a conversation with you deeper as well. So thank you for joining her, and I love, thank you for letting me get to meet you. I really truly appreciate that. Lorilei,
Yeah, absolutely. We had a great time on the show. Appreciate you coming on, being a part of it with us.
My show. You'll have to come on my show. I'll have you on.
Absolutely. Love to.
Both of all you guys. We'll have you all together. I haven't had you all together, and you're new. I've had AJ on before. I've had Jonathan on. We'll have you all together. We can talk all things paranormal. It'll be fun.
Sounds good. Sounds
Thank
good.
you for having me and
no
having
problem. You guys enjoy your night and try to get some relaxation.
We will for sure. Thanks.
All right. Take care. Love you guys.
Love you too.
Bye. All right, my friend. So, what did you think, man? I'm gonna be honest. I love Lorilei. She is one of the most straightforward people I know. She doesn't hide anything. She tells you how it is, and it's something whether or not you want to hear, she's gonna tell you. And that's what I love about her. Like she holds no punches back. And I mean, obviously, if it's something like super serious that may affect a client, she's gonna hold it back. Obviously. But when it comes to friends, she knows that I don't want her to hold nothing back, and she treats me with well respect, and she always has, and she's an amazing, amazing person, and I'm so happy to call her friend, man. But what did you think of like the show compared to what she was saying? And tell me.
Absolutely, dude. Like I agree with you there. I thought it was a great show. Like just having her there side by side with us to watch this show, determine what's real, what's not, and kind of gives you a different look at everything when you go to think about like TV shows or any paranormal thing in the world there is. Like I honestly I thought it was just great, and she definitely seems like a great person. She don't hold back at all, and that's one of the great things about it, because you know that whatever's true, whatever's not, she's gonna right up and then tell you, hey, that didn't happen, but it did happen this way, or anything like that. And the fact that they had to go through that, I feel absolutely horrible for them, and I'm hoping and praying that they don't have to go through as much as they did back in the day, hopefully if not any.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just absolutely wild, the story behind all of that, in my opinion.
Dude, you're 100% right, man. And I couldn't agree with you more. But you know what? Another week is coming, and we have another amazing guest. So I'm going to be releasing it soon, and we're going to reschedule Lorilei to come back on and dive deeper. She does a lot of work, and I want to really cover the basis and dive deep into this with her because she's passionate. She's a great person, and she's on the right side of things, and that's a person I want in my life. So I'm super happy to call her a friend, a sister in this field, and I look forward to working with her further, and I look forward for you to work with us. So everyone, check out Halfway Paranormal Podcast on all social medias, as well as every podcast listening platform now. Please follow us on there. It helps us more than you know. You can catch all the episodes on the go, and you're going to love every minute of it. So join us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, all those things. We are here. Just come check us out. And if you could subscribe, show us some love. We really, truly appreciate it. Julie, thank you so much for saying great show. I respect you, love you, and thank you so much for tuning in to all this. So, anything else you want to say, Dill?
No, not really. Just it's been a great show. Looking forward to the next one. It was definitely an eye opener, that's for sure, buddy. I appreciate everybody coming out and being with us and tuning in.
And in the old eyes of the cartoon Doug, I'm gonna say cuckoo for a nematode. If anyone gets that, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, go look at Doug the cartoon. Anyway, love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name's AJ Capasso. I'm one of the co-hosts of this show, and the host and founder of this show is Dylan Robinson. I'm more proud of you, man, than anything. So keep up the great work.
Hey, man, that means the world to me, brother.
All right, my man. I will see you soon, and thank you guys so much.